Today, let's talk about the Audio Research I50 Tube Integrated Amp. Now, Audio Research products excite me because my first experience with a high-end system was with an Audio Research system. I am not kidding. That system changed my life because it opened my eyes to what a good stereo system can do. Now, for those of you who are new to this hobby, Audio Research was founded in 1970 in the USA. Now, they specialize in making tube preamps and power amps. Sure, they did have a few DACs, CDs, and solid-state amps, but they are best known for having one of the best past and present tube preamps on the market. Now, among my audio buddies, Mr. Kanta, he's crazy about collecting Audio Research gear. And you know what? Let me show you a photo of what he has. And this is just part of it. That is how insane, I meant passionate he is. Thanks to him, I have a lot of experience with Audio Research gear. Now, because I have other audio buddies who own like top-of-the-line Audio Research gear, I got to hear the very best Audio Research has to offer. Now, I would say, okay, the Audio Research sound has evolved over the years. And most Audio Research gear I listen to tends to gravitate towards the neutral side. So when Audio Research announced the Audio Research I50 Tube Integrated Amp to celebrate their 50th birthday, well, that's why I50, right? I was excited because I used to own their older tube amps, and I wondered if the I50 would preserve that older Audio Research tube amp sound, or they would have this, more modern solid-state like sound. And with a starting price of $5,500 USD, I expect a lot because this is the legendary Audio Research we are talking about. Now, for those who don't follow me, I have reviewed many tube integrated amps from different countries in the last few years. And I know how incredible modern tube amps are. Of course, I will not compare it to the Galion TS120 SE for obvious reasons, so please don't ask me. But I will draw on my experience to give you an idea where this I50 sits in today's tube world. First of all, I love the design. It is unique enough that I can tell it is an I50 from far, far away, from a mile away. I think it has this industrial design look. Well, what about you guys? Do you like it? And the first time I saw the 6 color choices, I thought, man, Audio Research must understand that when it comes to hi-fi gear, we are all still kids. Just choose your favorite candy color. Now, I got the red one here, and man, it looks fantastic. Black and red looks good together. They go together like alcohol and bad decisions. Now, this amp does not get hot. Nope, you cannot fry an egg on it. And for an old man like me, I love the fact that it only weighs 40 pounds. Trust me, man, 40 pounds is featherweight for today's tube amp. So in the front top, there are 2 distinctive pillars. Inside each pillar is a Lexi tube. And once you power it up, it will start the 50-second countdown. You know what? It would be epic if it played the Mission Impossible theme song at power up. Yep, countdown to music nirvana. Next to the pillars are 2 big rotating knobs, high quality. One to change the input and the other to change the volume. To mute and unmute, you just press on the volume knob. This is important because it took me a while to figure that out. So the I50 uses 4 Softech 6550WE power tubes and 3 6922 signal tubes. Now at the back you have 1 standard RCA input. The second RCA input can be either used as standard or bypass input. You also have a balance input. There's room to add a phono stage and a DAC, making it a true all-in-one. Now I'm so glad the remote is not made of plastic. You can almost use it as self-defense weapon. The first time I saw the I50 was at the store, American Sound of Canada in Toronto. It was nice of the owner, Angie, to ship me this unit for fun. She was not expecting me to make a video. Now, I wanted to make a video because I really like the amp, and I believe this amp is an excellent choice for many of you. Now, the first time I listened to the i50, I immediately fell in love with it because it reminded me of the 300B tube amps I own. Okay, let me guess. When many of you think of tube amps, you think of words like smooth, soft, musical, laid back, and yada yada, right? The truth is, today's modern tube amps are not like that. Today's tube amps has the dynamic speed, attack, and precision of a solid-state amp. Sure, there are less hard edges, but nothing like the old tube amps. Basically, today's tube amps are like solid-state amp with an airy 3D soundstage. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this. For example, I reviewed the Italian Synthesis A40. Now, that one uses 4 KT66 tubes a while ago. See, that amp has a tube warmth that is reminiscent of the older tube amps. The i50 also has that warmth, which is the first thing I noticed. Now, this is the crucial difference compared to most of the amps I've reviewed. Now, I attribute it to the 6550 tubes, and I'll explain it later, okay? If you're new to the tube world, many amps today use KT88 or 6550. The 6550 can be a direct replacement for the KT88 tubes. The 6550 are known to be smoother, but less dynamic. Although in general it is supposed to be that way, the truth is that many of the tube amps I've tried today, even if you put 6550 tubes in, you don't get that 6550 smoothness. Those tube amps have so much attack and dynamics that they overpower what the 6550 tubes can bring. See, what I like about the i50 is that they voiced it to the point where it can showcase the 6550 tubes are all about. That tube warmth magic that many of you are searching in a tube amp, you will find it with the i50. It has a huge, airy 3D holographic soundstage, sure. You can easily picture yourself walking into the soundstage, yep. Imaging, it's not crazy cutting out, people kind of sharp imaging, but it's solid enough. So what about the bass? Fortunately, this is where the amp differs from the older tube amps. Its bass is solid and tight enough, but not overly done. Now this is good because sometimes it is actually less musical when the bass is super tight. Just enough punch and tightness to allow me to relax when listening to it. Some modern tube amps, man, are so fast and tight that you feel like doing push-ups after listening to them. But not this i50, you will feel relaxed. So to set the correct expectation, this does not mean this i50 sounds like a vintage amp, okay? It has all the sparkling detail on the top and the precision and speed of modern amp, but it's just not overcooked to the point that it sounds like a solid-state amp. Yes, it does sound like a tube amp. You will experience tube warmth with the i50. So, before we continue, okay, I want to talk about this GP3 platform from Toughnut. No, this is not sponsored. And you might benefit from an isolation platform like this if you have a tube amp. Yes, you can get the super high-end, like the HRS ones, or this more affordable one, 2,000 grand, $2,000. Yeah, still not cheap. See, I only have a little experience with isolation stuff, but I asked Derrick, the owner, to send me this because of an experience at the Toronto show. See, let me recap that story for you, for those who have not seen that video on the Toronto Audio Show. See, I have the Galion TS120 tube amp on this GP3 platform on the floor at the show. And at the end of the show, Derrick came to pick up the GP3. So, I lifted up the amp while the music was still playing. Derrick pulled the GP3 platform out. I put down the amp onto the floor. Everyone in the room was shocked. And we looked at each other. It's like, what the hell just happened? The sound changed without the platform. And if my memory is correct, you know how bad my memory is, the sound was tighter with the platform. See, I was not expecting that, so I had to get this GP3 to try at my place. Now, I plan to make a more detailed video on it because what you get out of it depends on what you use it with. Now, it was relevant to mention this in this video because, you know, I also tried it with this tube integrated amp, the I50, well, and many other amps. So just wait for my video. So let's go back to the I50. So what you should be aware of if you decide to go for this amp. First, there are no subwoofers output. Yes, the bass is strong enough they can get away with it, but come on, Audio Research, it's 2024. Give me the option to simulate an earthquake at my home. Second, there is no auto bias. When it's time to change the tubes, I think about 2,000–3,000 hours, you must see a certified technician. Now, I'm sure some of you are rolling your eyes now. It is 2024, and has Audio Research not heard of auto biasing? I would not say that choosing not to include auto biasing is a bad thing. See, let me explain. One day I asked a tube designer with 30 years of experience, hey man, why don't you build your amp with auto bias? It is so convenient. People love that. You're going to sell more amps. He said, Thomas, I have all the auto bias schematics of all the amps on the market, and I've tested them. Thomas, there is no free lunch. You can go for convenience or you can go for performance. Both have their pros and cons. So he explained the problem of auto bias to me with measurements. Okay, and you know, I will not go into it because this is not the video for it. And the truth is, okay, both are good, right? But after I understood the problem, I now tell people, hey man, if your tube amp has auto bias, congratulations. If your tube amp does not have auto bias, congratulations. All right, I'll just leave it at that. So the last thing you must be aware of is this, okay? Let me tell you a story. The first time I heard the I50, I felt so relaxed, right? Oh, so good. However, my friend besides me, Mr. Kanta, say, meh, not dynamic enough. He likes fast-sounding amps, so the more laid-back nature of the I50 did not appeal to him. Later on, when I got the I50 at my place, I was determined to get him to change his mind. So I brought it over and left it to him for a few days. Okay, so after spending time with it at home, okay, Mr. Kanta understood and appreciated. Still nice cup of tea. But he did have a good time with it. Here's the twist. Okay, although I knew we could not bias it, right, because it doesn't have auto bias, I say, you know, why not try some KT88 instead of 6550? Now, Mr. Kanta owns thousands of tubes. Yes, thousands. And he has these KT88 tubes you can only find in Alibaba's cave. These Galion KT88 relics from the 50s or maybe 60s are made in England. Yes, they actually made tubes in England at one point. Are any of you old enough to remember that? The cost of these tubes is about half the price of this I50. Yeah, and that is assuming you're lucky enough to find them new. Guess what? Okay, so once we put it in, the dynamic precision and speed went up one level. Mr. Kanta went from, oh, I appreciate this amp, to, oh, you know what, Thomas, I really like this amp. This is my kind of sound. So the moral of the story is to go buy $3,000 tubes. No, I meant is that you can really change the sound of this amp by tube rolling. And unlike other tube amps, it can showcase the strength of 6550 and KT88, which not all amps can do. So if you bought or auditioned this amp with 6550 and wish it had a bit more attack, KT88 is your answer. Oh, I forgot, of course. We also put CCA 6999 tubes in the front. Yeah, those are like close to $1,000. You can almost buy another tube amp with that kind of money. Now, we gave the I50 one of the best tubes ever to see what it could do, and it converted Mr. Kanta into an I50 fan. Okay, so let's wrap it up. I would say if listening fatigue is a big concern of yours, and if you're looking for that tube warmth that you find lacking in today's modern tube amp, and if you're looking for an amp to enjoy the music instead of analyzing the music, the I50 is an amp you definitely should audition. Top of your list. Please don't get me wrong, okay? This is a highly detailed resolving amp. It's not a well-sounding amp. And there's a certain pride in owning Audio Research product built especially in Minnesota. You know, it would keep its value that many amps could not, because, you know, it's an Audio Research product and they tend to have good resale value. finally, the flexibility of adding a DAC, a phono stage in the future is important for many of you. To summarize, the i50 reminds me more of that older Audio Research Tube amp I used to own, but it's not there completely. The i50 in the sense that it's as musical, but it's better detailed and has more resolution. So it's somewhere between the new sound and the old sound, a little bit closer probably to the newer sound. All right, guys? Yeah, I think that's about it. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.